I went undercover inside the UCLA Palestine Solidarity Encampment, and today we're going to talk about what I saw on the inside.
I'm being physically removed. Get out.
So I was there Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was undercover Sunday and Monday. We'll start with Thursday. So on Thursday, when I got there, the encampment was very small. The walls were made out of pallets. They weren't very high, but the entrances were guarded. I jumped the gates several times because if I approached the actual entrances to the encampment, the protesters would surround me, they would block my entrance, and if I tried to get around them, they would assault me. I was assaulted on this campus in the past week more times than I can count. The people inside of the encampment were also specifically instructed not to speak to anybody outside of the camp about the issue that they were there protesting. They had designated press liaisons who would speak to the media, so I went to the media check-in and asked them if I could speak with a press liaison. They told me yes, and the liaison came over. She was just about to speak to me when a handler came up to her, whispered something in her ear. They both walked away, and then the rest of the protesters blocked my camera with their keffiyehs.
We just want to have a conversation with somebody. Wait, why won't you guys have a conversation?
Over the course of the weekend, I was in Georgia, so I didn't get back until Sunday. When I got back Sunday, the camp had been incredibly expanded. It has now absorbed 2 buildings, Royce Hall and the library. And I would just like to remind you guys that this is public property. They're not allowed to do this. It's against the law to restrict the free movement of people in a public space. The walls are now 8 feet tall. Campus security is aiding them. There is a sort of bike rack barrier directly in front of the wall of the encampment, and then about 5 feet in front of that barrier, there's another barrier, and campus security walk in between it to protect the encampment. This allowed the protesters to create choke points. They now have 2 buildings as barriers and campus security protecting them in the front.
You can see right here, the wall is all along there, and this is where CSC is actually like aiding in the choke point process for these protesters. Not only is the university sanctioning all of this, and you guys have seen my Twitter and the pictures I've taken, it is trash in there. It is trash in there. There is graffiti everywhere. That building, Royce Hall, is over 100 years old and it's completely defaced. I'll show that footage here as B-roll. And these CSC officers right here are aiding in the process.
These choke points functioned as checkpoints. They could vet who goes in and out of the camp very, very effectively.
This is one of the 2 checkpoints that exist for this encampment. It's guarded. Are you guys 24/7 guard? I'm just curious. Are you guys guarded 24/7? Okay, so they're guarded 24/7. It appears, I would guess. One of 2 checkpoints. Nobody's allowed in or out unless they know somebody on the inside. And when you know somebody on the inside, they come out and vouch for you and you get a bracelet, but you can also buy them at Staples. So this is part of one of the buildings that I guess they have blocked off and aren't allowing people to enter into. If you see over there, that's kind of a catwalk that goes into the encampment there. And they have this all boarded off right here. They're just not letting people in, so I'm not allowed in. I don't know why. As soon as they saw me, they seem to have put umbrellas up.
So Sunday, while I was there, I brought a keffiyeh with me. My friend Nick also had one with him. We walked and moved as one of them. What they told us when we approached the checkpoint was we needed to know somebody inside the encampment that could vouch for us in order to get inside. I pretended to call my friend who was inside the encampment and pretended that I couldn't get a hold of him, then approached the checkpoint and talked to the woman who was guarding it and asked them if they needed anything, any resources, water, or anything that we could run to to the store and go get while we waited for our friend to respond. She told us no, that they were good. Sort of how it works is internally they appoint guards within the camp. These are students, these are members of the public who have come out to protest, able-bodied people who can guard the encampment and fend off against anyone who tries to get in. Again, this is public property. So Nick and I walked around for a little while. We sort of blended in with the protesters outside of the encampment. We stood with them as they shouted at Jewish students, and then they ran a Jewish person off of the premises. After that, one of the protesters outside of the camp said, "Hey, my N-word, where are all the Jews at?"
Look at the settler! He runs away from his area.
Of course.
You can be in our land as much as you want, but it's not yours, buddy. That's why you're walking away.
Clearly looking for Jews to antagonize. Nick and I walked around a little bit more, and I spotted a wristband crumpled up inside of the garbage on the top. And I was like, that's what we need. We need to find out where to get those. Nick picked the wristband out of the garbage. He uncrumpled it and put it on his wrist. He told me he was going to try to gain entry with that wristband. At this point, we're unclear. It's unclear to us what the security looks like. It's unclear if they still check you if you have a wristband or if you just get to walk right in. Nick walked right in. He was texting me the whole time. We decided which checkpoint I would attempt to gain entry to. I chose the one where I knew there was a guard that didn't know me. A lot of the people inside of the camp, especially the guards, knew who I was. They were familiar with me. And earlier that day when I tried to gain access as a journalist, they pointed at me and said, "Do not let that guy in."
Wait here. Apparently he claims to be media.
Oh, no, you're talking to him. Yeah, I don't think we're going to him. No, there's no talking to media.
Yeah. So,
Journalists aren't allowed inside? Why not? Are you afraid of them?
you could get out.
Are you
He's
afraid
recording.
of journalists?
Get out.
Don't grab my mic.
Get out. Get out.
So I chose the opposite checkpoint. Nick came to the guard station. He vouched for me. They gave me a wristband and they let me in. I documented everything. The second most common symbol inside of this encampment that was graffitied on the walls, sidewalks, etc., aside from the Palestinian flag, was the communist hammer and sickle. This place was loaded with communist symbolism. The third most common was calls for intifada, revolution against Jewish people. I saw signs that said, "Down with the West," Uncle Sam with his eyes gouged out, "Fuck UCLA," calls for anarchy, riot, ACAB, fuck the police. They chanted intifada. They read communist literature at their assemblies, which I attended. And ironically, one side said, "Abolish walls." You know, as these people have established an 8-foot wall on public property, with the stated intent of keeping people out. Another interesting thing I noticed was their rules. On their rules, it said, "Do not sow discord or distrust. Do not talk about the issue that we are here to protest with people inside the camp." Why can't you talk about the issue? Do not speak to the press. What are you afraid of? Wear masks at all times to protect against COVID-19. Now, I want to tell you, they will give you this affront and tell you that they are trying to protect people against COVID-19. That is not the case. These people wear masks to conceal their identity. As somebody who was on the inside for 2 days, these people intentionally wear masks because they know they are committing crimes. On Tuesday when I was there, I was trying to get a shot of EMS taking somebody out of the library. I was surrounded by protesters who blocked my movement while I attempted to get a shot.
Yo, what are you doing? Who are you?
Yo, security,
What is going on? Why do you guys think you're allowed over here and I'm not?
we're not allowed over here.
Why are you here then?
What's going on right here?
I was just filming and they've all surrounded me.
And as they assaulted me and stole things, they shouted, "Masks up! Masks up." And I want to be clear with you, with what I saw inside the camp, all of the communist symbolism, these people are communists. I think the majority of students who have come to support probably are there for the Palestinian cause, whereas the ringleaders are there to indoctrinate people into communism. You can't have a successful communist revolution without convincing a group or groups of people that they are oppressed. Nobody will start a violent revolution unless they think somebody is pitted against them or their friends. College students are attracted to this type of scene because it's like a constant party, right? You're inside of an encampment on public property. You're doing a rebellious thing. You're not supposed to be there. Inside, they're drinking alcohol. They're smoking marijuana, ironically against their rules, but as soon as you enter the camp, all you can smell is pot. It is a 24/7 party for them. So these people come for the fun. And when you're constantly around people and you make friends with people who have a certain idea or are interested in a certain thing, naturally that thing rubs off on you. For me, it was hockey. When I was a kid, my best friend was a diehard hockey fan. It didn't take long for me to become a diehard hockey fan who knew the names of every single person on every single roster on every team. Being in this environment radicalizes people. It, in their head, justifies any action of violence taken against anyone who does not believe in their cause. And they were violent. I personally was assaulted more times than I can count. I had things stolen from me. I have friends who were assaulted and had things stolen from them. This is the natural progression of the school allowing them to do this. It emboldens them. First, you allow them to establish a camp that they're not supposed to establish. It's not school sanctioned. They get away with that. Now they're emboldened to expand the camp when the security protects them. Now they've created checkpoints. They want to control who goes in and out of the camp. Well, how do you do that unless you're willing to assault them? You don't have support from the police. The only way to keep people out is to take matters into your own hands. And that's exactly what they did. Here's where it gets interesting. Monday, I went in undercover again with Xavier DeRusso from PragerU. We walked around, we documented anything that was new, we went on their march, and while they were distracted at their march, we went back to the camp. We entered, I went to a quiet part of the camp in a building, I strapped my GoPro to my chest, I put my mic in my sleeve and zipped my coat back up. I walked to the center of the camp, I unzipped my coat, pulled my GoPro out, pulled my mic out, and asked them who was funding the camp. Because they have tens of thousands of dollars worth of food, water, sanitary supplies, feminine products, hygiene, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, etc., etc. So I asked them who was funding it. Immediately, they all surrounded me, they locked arms, and refused to allow me to move forward, backwards, or to the side. I was being detained by them, unlawfully imprisoned.
This guy's what's up, guys? Faking numbers.
No, we're not allowing people to, allowing media in or anything, so...
Well, it's public. It is public space.
Yeah, but we're still gonna have to ask you to leave.
You can ask me, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Just to be clear with what we're doing.
You're going to just need to be able to leave.
I can leave, but it is public property, and I think I'll remain.
Okay, I understand that, but you need to leave.
Why do I need to leave?
Out of my face.
Why do I need to leave?
Okay, we're just gonna stand here then.
Okay.
That's fine. Who funded all of this anyway? Well, are you kidding me?
Wait, we don't lock him.
You guys are locked around me?
I told them that what they were doing was a violation of California penal law, and they then formed a horseshoe shape around me. They locked arms. There was probably, I'd say somewhere from 30 to 50 people, either locked arms or they had each other's shoulders like that. And they walked through me. They told me the exit is there if you'd like to leave, and I told them I wouldn't like to leave. It's public property and I'm allowed to be here. I refused to cooperate, and they moved me for about 20 to 30 minutes. Ongoing assault until I was on the steps outside of the Royce Hall quad.
Just walk away.
I don't know. It's public space. I don't need to walk away. You guys are trying to intimidate me away.
Why do you want to be there?
Why not? I'm a journalist. I'm documenting.
You have a place
1, 2, 3, step.
1, 2, 3, step.
There's plenty of campus for you.
Do you want to push me up these stairs? Go for it.
1, 2, 3, step.
1, 2, 3, step. 1, 2.
Keep going, guys.
1, 2, 3, step. 1, 2, 3, step.
I've got my legs all locked behind me.
But I don't know if I should record it or not.
Oh no, she said not.
Don't take videos of this.
Oh, I'm done. I
No,
did it
don't
first.
take videos of
No,
it.
I'm done.
What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Like they told me and I stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Did you delete it?
I did.
Okay,
I
me too.
did.
Thank you.
It was just Snapchat.
They would have pushed me down that grand brick staircase if CSC security had not ran up the stairs and intervened. Tuesday, I went back again with Anthony Cabasso this time. As I said, I was assaulted while I tried to film somebody who was being given EMS. There was also an arrest happening inside the encampment, and we were sort of at the back side. So the encampment takes over the front of the library, and we were at the back of the library near one of the checkpoints trying to figure out what was going on. Somebody had just been arrested atop the scaffolding. I forgot to mentioned there's a construction site inside of the encampment. The library was under construction. And so there's a huge 3-story scaffolding, Palestinian flag at the top. Somebody had presumably done something illegal inside of the encampment, and UCPD had chased them up the scaffolding. They latched themselves onto the sort of poles at the top of the scaffolding, and police had to pry them off, arrest them, and take them downstairs, where the protesters then swarmed the bottom of the construction site, waiting for police to come down. So I was really trying to figure out what was going on. I'm in their Telegram chat, and they're calling for like all bodies to come to the encampment and defend against the police. There's like 2 officers inside the camp. And so we're just trying to figure out what's going on, gather knowledge, document. They surround me immediately. They begin assaulting me. They begin taking things off of my vest. I had sort of like a GoPro harness, portable charger tucked into where my GoPro is, an adapter for audio hanging off the side. They ripped that off. They took my portable charger. I believe that fell off and somebody grabbed it from beneath. Actually, the portable charger was Anthony's. He had lent it to me. So that really sucked. Then Anthony and I moved. We went around to the front of the encampment. There was another journalist up there with a camera. They let that person right in. And Anthony and I requested that we be allowed in. It was the press check-in in the front. They refused to allow us in.
Really enforce them? I guess we'll see. Hey, how are ya? I was trying to see if I can check in for media, please. Yeah, media check-in, yeah. Just independent. I work for a Latinx, a publication called El American. Sure. Yeah.
And there it goes.
Are we allowed to go? You guys?
Wait, why not us?
How come they're allowed to go?
They come to visit us.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, they come to visit me. As me.
But you just said us.
Yeah, they can't use the camera.
Well, I want to visit some of the students to just share their stories.
If you know someone, call him, let him provide you. You're welcome.
And so we got up on the sort of concrete railings of the quad, and we jumped in, or Anthony did. I stood on the railing. Anthony was immediately surrounded and assaulted for about 10 minutes, and I filmed the whole thing.
Stop pushing me! Stop pushing me!
You're restricting my movement right now. This is false incarceration. This is false incarceration. I'm allowed to be in here. I'm a journalist, credentialed. Okay, this is public property.
Oh, hey, lock arms.
Oh, here we go.
Well, this is what they do to media. You guys saw that earlier. They let media in there. That's one of the guys, and they allowed them because they said they're part of the. They're part of it. So apparently, no free press here exists.
We don't allow aggressive media.
No, you're not. I can't leave. I'm not allowed to leave. I can't leave. Why can't I leave? You're not gonna let me? Let me leave, dude.
We're gonna make a path.
Go ahead. Why were you trying to prevent me from leaving? Huh? You're pushing me on a ledge. If I fall, you're going to jail. Dude, okay, let's be honest right now. Where the do you think I'm gonna go? There's a barricade behind you.
Let's go, bro.
Shift.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Are you guys even 18? Look at you. Sorry. Okay, wait. Can you wait till I'm all the way out? I'm not coming back.
They came very, very close to pushing me off of the railing. It was just a bad situation. Anthony and I had documented just about all we thought we were going to document, and we went home. It was around noon. I needed to spend some time with my girlfriend. I go home. I do what I need to do. Anthony tells me that he believes around 11 LAPD are going to show up and clear the camp. So we head back. I get there around 7 p.m., and it was very calm. It was truly like it felt as though It was both the calm before the storm, but it also felt like it was sort of a World War I Christmas truce kind of deal. There was 4 Native Americans there. They had signs protesting the encampment. They were playing the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, etc., etc. And the protesters on the other side were actually like dancing to the music and stuff. There was banter back and forth. It wasn't friendly banter, but it wasn't unfriendly banter. It was the most cordial I've seen the two groups together. But they were also at some points insulting the Native Americans, saying that their earrings were cheap, etc., etc. I noticed that more people started to flood in as the night went on. I continued to hear that the LAPD were coming at 11 p.m. And then I started to hear as it got closer to 11 p.m. that if the LAPD didn't show up, they were going to take the camp, the counter-protesters. And I want to be clear, many of them were Jewish, but also many of them were Armenian and white. And the common sentiment I heard among them was, we can't allow this to happen. Somebody was assaulted brutally earlier today outside of one of the checkpoints. I believe it was a woman after I had left already. And that if the administration and the police didn't do something about it, if they didn't stop the assaults and the illegal activity, that they would do something about it. They would take that camp down. 11 p.m., people with masks flooded in. Almost on the dot, the camp was sieged. An absolute riot broke out. The barricades that I spoke about earlier were completely ripped away. A medic station was set up in the middle of the quad, and the best way that I can describe this situation was medieval battlefield. Very quickly, makeshift weapons were fashioned, primarily on the camp side. They had that construction site in there, and they were using things from the construction site to create weapons. Metal spears, sort of like pole arms, and they were chucking these spears into the crowd. They were throwing metal objects. I know at one point like an 8-pound set of vice grips was hurled over the wall at somebody. They were throwing water bottles full of urine. They were macing, pepper spraying, and bear spraying people. The counter-protesters were throwing fireworks. They were also using bear spray and pepper spray. And they took some weapons from the protesters within the encampment. Flagpoles, some of the things they fashioned from the construction site, etc., etc. They also had shields made out of garbage cans. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life. At around 11:15, UCPD pulled in with an ambulance. That ambulance loaded somebody up. I have no idea which side that person was on, but they were taken away. Protesters pleaded with UCPD while they were there. They have weapons in there. People are going to get hurt, etc., etc. And people did get hurt really badly.
Shut this down. They have weapons in there. They have weapons in their campus. They have weapons in their campus, okay? That's what the media needs to show.
We did not see an ambulance for the rest of the night. Not a single time before I left the encampment or the campus at 4 a.m. did I see a single ambulance. The campus was completely abandoned by Los Angeles. The city turned its back while a medieval battle ensued on a public college campus. At around 11:30, I hit an emergency call button on campus. 911, what is your emergency? Hey, where the f are you guys? Sir, we're on our way. Hangs up the phone. Like I said, that was 11:30, and LAPD didn't show up until around 2:15. They formed a line around the quad and did nothing until around 3:15. They watched crime after crime after crime, assault after assault after assault. They watched bear mace be deployed. They watched people fighting with weapons.
The LAPD are back there and doing nothing. They're in a line right on there.
And they stood there and they did nothing. At 3:15, they cleared the quad. They swept all of the counter-protesters out and did nothing to the camp. They left it. I spoke to a California Highway Patrol sergeant before I left, and he told me that they had no intention of clearing the camp that night, and so I left. The next day, I did not go back. I think I said earlier that I went back on Wednesday. It was actually Thursday. So Wednesday is when the camp got cleared by the LAPD and CHP. In their Telegram group chat, the Palestinian Solidarity Encampment talked about how they were going to push back the police. They established zones and a tactic. So the tactic essentially consisted of locking arms, repelling the police, putting cones over tear gas canisters. But what's interesting is there was sort of lines to this, right? They had different lines of people who would be fighting, white people on the outside and brown people on the inside. So they specifically said, basically, that if you're a white person, a woke white person who believes in this cause, you're just going to be cannon fodder on the front lines based on your race, first in line for an arrest if you want to be here. The most absurd thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And they held off the police for quite a while, but ultimately they prevailed. When I went back on Thursday, the place was an absolute disaster. Completely destroyed, garbage everywhere. It looked like a landfill. There were still protesters around cleaning up. One of them actually freaked out on me because I was filming their mess. She got mad at me. Don't film people's faces. Don't film people's faces. She's wearing a mask.
I do know you heard me, and I also know it's a public campus.
Stop taking pictures of people's faces. Don't fucking ask
It's a public campus. I'm not taking pictures. It's a
Get
video.
the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
It's a public campus. I'm just documenting your mess.
We asked not to take pictures of faces.
You can ask me all you like.
And I'm like, it's a public campus. You guys should have learned this by now. You just got raided by the police last night. You have no authority to tell me what I can and cannot do here. I'm filming up your mess. So that's the story, guys. This falls squarely on the shoulders of Gene Block, the chancellor of UCLA, and the chancellor, president, whatever, of any other university that allows this to happen. These are homegrown terrorists. And if it had been cleaned up when it was as small as it was on Thursday, none of this would have ever happened. Tuesday night wouldn't have happened, and I cannot believe that nobody died on Tuesday night. I thought for sure somebody was gonna die. Those like metal bike rack barricades were flying up in the air. Easily could have killed somebody. But what did you expect was going to happen? You allow students and members of the public to regularly assault people on campus, and you think that the victims aren't going to retaliate? What kind of imbecile thinks that's not going to happen? This was always coming. It was inevitable. Whether I condone it or not, of course it was going to happen. Those guys were arrested on Wednesday night, and they were released the next morning. Lock their asses up and keep them off campus. They're already planning on setting up another encampment in their Telegram group. Do something about it. I also cannot fathom the lack of response from CHP and LAPD on Tuesday night. I cannot believe that it took them from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. to show up with must have been countless 911 calls. 6 helicopters in the sky, all over the news. Where's the LAPD? Nowhere to be seen. Expel these people or step down, Gene Block. That goes for the head of any university where this is happening.